Hey everybody, it's Adam and Sophie back with another edition of Encite Live. Today we are filming this in the nearly empty office down here in Rhino. The only other folks here in the office now is our video production guy. He's kind of running three cameras simultaneous for us, but we're trying to be as safe as we can in COVID times. And so Sophie and I are the only ones here that are kind of unmasked at this point. But today we want to talk about a couple of different subjects. The one that I had, Sophie, is pretty timely subject. It's called digital disinformation.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of social media, especially around the presidential campaigns, are talking a little bit about disinformation that's going out there. And so this article that I found that was on kind of Marketing Tech News, they're talking about what social media companies are going to be doing in 2021 to combat that disinformation and how that affects marketers.
Okay.
So I thought it was really interesting. So I think what we found out and we've discussed is talking a little bit about our clients is making sure that some of those claims that you're making on social media, you need to be aware that maybe some of the social media platforms are going to be making changes to make sure that what you're putting up there is legit.
Yeah,
right?
good things.
Good, right. So I guess how you go about doing that is just making sure that the things that you're posting, that you're curating, that you're creating, you know, are very accurate.
Yeah.
And make sure. So, but the other thing they talked about is also making sure that you're tracking your brand online to making sure that your brand is not associated with some other disinformation, which can cause a really bad PR crisis for you. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of.
And I think like for different industries, you know, I think it's easy to look at politics and be like, obviously, you know, maybe there's some from either side disinformation. But I think it's just as important when it comes to what people are buying. And I think that's easy to forget about. Yeah.
Yeah, but the one thing that I thought about too from a standpoint of disinformation is we do this a lot for clients is we develop out, you know, case studies and, you know, white papers and those kinds of things. And that information is coming from that client's experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's information saying, here's what we did and here's how we did it. Mm-hmm. And I think from a disinformation standpoint, if you're coming up with numbers and statistics and, you know, showing your process, that clarity, that transparency of process goes a long way for classifying something as disinformation. It's your experience, right? Like it's their experience of kind of how they got better. So I think that's probably a good way to address it as well, to make sure that you're putting together, being transparent about your process and what you're talking about. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
definitely. And I think like now, especially, we're getting into this time where the digital space is going to be more saturated with ads just because that's where people are getting their information now, that you're not, you know, window shopping as much and probably you're not driving as much to see billboards and all this other kind of advertising. I think that amping up the sort of standards that go along with what you're saying online is nothing but good.
Yeah. So, I mean, in summary, I think that it needs to be, people need to be aware in 2021 that there's potential disinformation, I guess policing out there, right? So make sure that what you're doing is transparent. Make sure you kind of plan for potential contingencies there. But we'll try to kind of keep updating you guys on anything that we find out in 2021 about social media platforms and their the disinformation thing. So what did you have?
So mine's a little lighter. I am sure that you've seen this. I'm sure a ton of people have seen this already, but there's a new Match.com commercial out that sort of depicts just the craziness that this year has been. And as someone who like is on dating apps right now, it felt very accurate. But it's a spot that was done by Ryan Reynolds, actually, which I find really interesting because...
Well, his agency, right?
His agency, yeah. But it really is him. I found this out recently. He does a lot of the copywriting.
Really?
And he does a lot of the like ideation behind the ideas, which I think is so rare for those like celebrity-driven things. I think it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, we want Ryan Reynolds to be the face of our gin brand, but we really just want him there as a pretty face, you know? Like, and I think it's very cool that he copyrights and he does all of this. But yeah, the commercial's really great. It basically is Satan trying to find like the girl of his dreams, and basically just, you know, make 2021 your year, because we've all sort of been living through this collective hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really great, and I think it's very in the moment for a lot of reasons. There's a track underneath it that's a re-recording of a Taylor Swift song. She just came out with 2 new albums, and I think it's just sort of like a fun way to wrap up a very cluster-esque year,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I thought it was really good. And again, just sort of refreshing to see like, oh, there's this celebrity element to it and everyone sort of knows. I mean, he's very public about his involvement with the agency and the gin brand and his promotions with these companies. But yeah, I think it's cool to see people sort of flexing their muscles in a different arena, you know?
Yeah, I saw the spot and I thought it was pretty, I mean, obviously it's creative, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's very eye-catching and attention grabbing, because it's and there's some humor to it, right?
Yes.
Like what you can do in kind of that dating space. But I always come back to, our 3 pillars, branding, marketing, and creative. I think what they've done there is taken that creative piece to the next level, and made it very timely and very specific to these days, and I guess relating a lot to the audience.
Yeah.
So that audience really does see, and like as we all do, that we're really frustrated with the times here.
Yeah. And I thought it was especially interesting that it's Match.com and it's not Tinder or Bumble or any of the like sort of ones that I think like people in my age demographic are more likely to go to.
Yeah.
Like when I think Match.com, I don't think this irreverent, funny take on dating. You know, I think it's for adults and it's like much more buttoned up and serious, but I think that maybe they're trying to break into that Bumble, Hinge, Tinder space a little bit more, which, I could see being big.
Yeah, I think that their demographic's a little bit older, right? Like,
definitely,
I mean, it's not something that the millennials or Gen Z or on the dating app, so it seems a little bit older. So, but that would make a lot of sense. But I think their creativity piece is really making it memorable and making people talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I think that I've seen it all over social and Ad Age, and that people are talking a lot about, a lot of buzz on it. But it doesn't hurt that Ryan Reynolds' star power kind of comes into that portion of it. But
not at all.
Pretty cool stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. So, hey, I think that's what we're going to wrap up for our short little bit today for Encite Live. We'll be back in 2021 with new Encite Live, new content, and we hope to see you guys then.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next time.